Coming up, Title 42 is set to lift today just as Border Patrol is apprehending a record amount of migrants. What happens after the measure expires at midnight? And the Biden administration is proposing new regulations on power plants, seen as the most drastic standards on the industry in order to slash greenhouse gases. The rundown starts now. This is Straight Arrow News, bringing you unbiased, straight facts. I'm Kara Rucker. Our top story, Title 42 will expire when the clock strikes midnight tonight. The Biden administration has rolled out new rules meant to help slow a surge that is already evident at the country's southern border. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has deployed hundreds of National Guard troops to the border, where volunteers are also stationed to provide humanitarian aid to those who have made long journeys in anticipation of the expiration of the pandemic-era border policy. Ahead of Title 42 lifting, the Biden administration announced migrants entering the U.S. must now show proof they've applied for asylum online or through another country first. The administration also announced plans to open 100 processing centers in Central and South America in hopes asylum seekers won't overwhelm border entry points. Ahead of today's drastic change in the way officials can expel migrants, Border Patrol agents apprehended over 10,000 migrants on Monday and again on Tuesday, marking the highest single-day totals ever recorded.
To the federal administration who's created the policies that have led to this situation, this is not working. All the sheriffs unanimously agree. We have to secure the border now. This experiment, whatever it was, has failed us, and it's crystal clear.
Our political correspondent Ray Bogan has an extensive report online detailing the end of Title 42 as eyes now turn to border security. You can find the story on our website, straightarrownews.com. New York Congressman George Santos has pleaded not guilty to 13 federal charges, including allegations of fraud related to COVID-19 unemployment benefits, misusing campaign funds, and lying about personal finances on House disclosure reports. Santos was released on a $500,000 bond. Following his arraignment, Santos reiterated he will not resign.
I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting for what I believe in. I'm going to keep fighting to represent my district. I'm going to keep fighting to deliver results. And now I have to keep fighting to deliver, to defend my innocence. And I'm going to do that.
Just one day after appearing in a federal court, another criminal case Santos is the subject of will be heard in a courtroom in Brazil today. Brazilian law enforcement authorities will conduct a hearing on an allegation of check fraud. According to court records reviewed by the New York Times, in 2008, Santos used a fake name and stolen checkbook to spend nearly $700 in a small clothing store. Santos admitted to the fraud to the shop owner in 2009. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said Wednesday he will not support Santos for re-election, and if the House Ethics Committee determines he broke the law, McCarthy would call for Santos to resign. Former President Trump's primetime return to CNN on Wednesday was the first time he's appeared on the network since 2016 for a town hall in New Hampshire, hosted by CNN's Caitlin Collins. The night was full of spars between the two, often talking over one another. Topic matters included the sexual abuse case against him that wrapped up just one day prior, claims of election fraud, the January 6th insurrection, abortion, the war in Ukraine, and classified documents. In an article posted by the Associated Press, they say the town hall audience was made up largely of Republicans and independents, largely favorable to Trump, while Democrats criticized CNN for even giving the former president a platform. Peru says it will allow the prime suspect in the unsolved disappearance of American student Natalie Holloway to be temporarily extradited to the U.S. Holloway, a high school student from Alabama, vanished on a trip to Aruba in 2005. Joran Vandersloot is in a Peruvian prison on an unrelated murder conviction. Vandersloot will face trial for alleged extortion and wire fraud, charges stemming from an accusation that he tried to extort the Holloway family after their daughter's disappearance. Holloway was last seen leaving a bar with Vandersloot. Her body was never found, and no charges were ever filed. Two FDA advisory panels are recommending the selling of a birth control medication called the O pill be sold over the counter without a prescription. It's seen as the first step to pave way for the first oral contraceptive to be sold without having to see a doctor. Drug maker Peru requested to sell its one-a-day birth control pill on store shelves alongside eye drops and allergy medications. Federal health advisors sided with Peru. A final FDA decision is expected this summer. If the FDA approves it, it could hit store shelves by the end of this year. New today, the Biden administration has proposed new regulations on the country's power plants. That would be the strictest ever climate rules enacted on the industry in order to drastically cut greenhouse gas emissions. The Environmental Protection Agency says power plants account for a quarter of the nation's greenhouse gases, just behind the transportation industry. The EPA says the new standards would produce cleaner air by eliminating 617 million metric tons of carbon dioxide over the next 20 years. The equivalent of taking half of all cars off of U.S. roads. Power plants would have to fundamentally change the way they operate by either installing carbon capture and storage technology, which takes carbon dioxide out of the air and back into the earth, or by abandoning fossil fuels for renewable energy sources. Carbon capture technology is still new and costly. In 2021, the first and only commercial power plant in the U.S. shut down outside of Houston after it was plagued by malfunctions. So the changes, if they were to take effect, would take time and money. The EPA will hold a public hearing before moving forward with potential legislation. These are your top stories. Thanks for watching The Rundown. We're on a mission to bring back trustworthy journalism by serving only you, not an agenda. Be sure to check out more of our work at straightarrownews.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.